Steve here from Mission Bill Media. Right now we're going to be talking a little bit about pages. Basically we're going to go through how to create a page. For the interest of time, I've created this interesting page. Um, I've got an article about zebras, and I've got a little prompt to join into our mailing list. And as you can see, I have this really cool kind of parallax effect going on. Then I've got another article here, or another block of text that's split up into columns, and I've got this YouTube video embed with the Swedish chef carving a pumpkin. Okay, so anyway, so we're on this page, so I'm going to go into the editor. If we're logged in already, we have edit page as our as one of the options in our bar up the top here. Now this is our editor here. I am in the Visual Composer editor, which will be part of your website package. This allows us to build everything in blocks. Now some of the blocks are nested inside of other blocks. So we have these things called content bands or rows, depending on which theme you're using. So this is one block. This is the block with the article about the zebras. This block under here, this is the newsletter sign up. This block under here, this block is the article with the columns. And then this block here is the Swedish chef. So to start out in our page, I called this training page. Now that is not what appears at the top. I'm going to enable preview mode here so that we can go back and forth more quickly. But you can see it says the truth about zebras. So if I go down here to my options down at the bottom, one of them is disable page title. So I have that checked because I don't want training page at the top. And also the styling of that title is very, very limited. I can disable that and then I can put in a title however I want it to be. Okay, so also here under parent, if it's a page that exists, for example, a product under the products page, so you have your xyz.com/products/product A, you put products as the parent. I'm not worried about that right now. This template, now this is again theme specific. Here I have this one here that says blank, meaning there's no content already built into the page. It has no container. The container is a lot of pages, they have a narrow bar or a box down the center, and if you go any wider than that, you just get a background image or whatever. So everything can go from one side of the page right to the other side of the page, but it has the header and the footer. If I was doing a landing page or something like that, I might decide not to have a header or footer, but in this case I do want that. So okay, so the first thing I did was I told it I wanted to add an element, and I put in a content band or perhaps a row. Depending on what theme you're using, they may call it different things, but it's the same thing. Now, when I look at this block, I can see I've got option here to edit this. It's to edit this block or to clone it. But I've also got edit. I've also got an edit here as well. If I do this, I'm editing this entire block. If I do this, if I click on this one, I am editing this column. Now, right now, this is a single column, so that may get confusing, but later on we'll get into an area where we have two columns, so we want to edit one column versus the other. They also have different options. So if I click on this one here, the top level one, I have this inner container. Now we don't necessarily want everything going from edge to edge. We may want an image going from edge to edge or a background color or something, but we don't want all of our text or whatever going all the way out to the edges. So I usually will check that. Let's remove margin. If you want to stack a bunch of these on top of each other, like if they have different background colors and you don't want a margin, you may want to use that. I don't have any type of background set for this, so the rest of this is sort of irrelevant. So I'm just going to close here. If I go into this particular, if I go into this edit here, I can select a font color. I can tell it I want to fade in or to move in from one of the sides. So you don't usually do that at the top because it happens as you scroll down the page, and this stuff's already going to be visible when the page loads, so it won't do anything. But further down, you may decide you want, as you scroll down, this content to fade in or to move in, so you could select that. Then I've got the individual elements in here. So I've started with a headline. If I hit my edit button here, you can see I just have my headline. I have an aligned center. Heading level is H1, looks like H1. Now there's a hierarchy of headings in WordPress. You want to have one H1 on every page, not anymore. Otherwise it will confuse search engines. So an H1 is a heading level 1, like that's your top big headline. That should be the page title, basically. Now, when I look at this, I have my title here, and when I first set this up, this was basically resting right on top of this image. I didn't like that. I wanted a bit of a gap. So one of the simple ways to do that is one of the elements you can add is just called a gap, and you basically just tell it how many pixels you want. So you see here I just put in a 50 pixel gap. Then I put in an image. So I can style this image. I could do a circle or round it or whatever. I didn't do that. You click to add your image. You click on the plus here, and it's going to come into your media library. This is all your images that you've loaded up, or you can select a file if you've got it, say, saved on your desktop or something like that. In this case, I have it in my media library, so if I would click that, and then I would just hit Set Image. I have this link, so right now if you were to click on that, it's actually clickable, that image, and it will take you to this address, which happens to be Google. I put a title in here. That again is important for search engine optimization. It'll help Google know what your page is about if there are titles on your pictures. And I have the target checked, which means that if you click on that and it goes to Google, it's going to open in a new window rather than leaving our page. This is important if we're going to places outside of our page, outside of our site, because we don't want people to forget where they were or not be able to find their way back. Okay, so I have that image. Then I put another headline here. You see, this time I did not do H1. I've got it as H2, which is like a subheading. Each level is sort of a sub. Anyway, and then I put in a block of text here. So if I click on this text block, you can see I can just plug this in. I centered it. I don't have to. I can use bold and italics. I can do lists, and this is sort of your typical word processor setup. So again, if we look at that block, we have our image. It's clickable, so if I clicked on that, it would go to Google. I've got my heading level 2, and then the text. Next, I'm going to go into this block here that's going to, and this is a little marketing call out here, or this is a newsletter sign up. Now, this really cool parallax effect is very popular right now, and it's very simple to achieve. So if I go to this second section here, if I click on the top level editing here, you see I've checked that inner container because I want stuff to not go all the way to the edge. I've given it padding. This is going to be basically blank space at the top and bottom because I don't want just a really narrow band. I want to see more of that image. So I gave it a big gap top and bottom. so the text appears in the middle, but it's not like the band itself is not just the width of the content. What I mean by that is you see we've got this big gap here and big gap here, so we can see more of the image. That's the padding. So there's 100 pixels here and 100 pixels here. Okay. Now you see I've selected a background image and I checked off parallax. That's all you have to do to put that parallax effect in. You can do videos as well, stuff like that. We're not going to do that here. So that set up that band. All right, then I came in here. Sorry, here we are. And I put in a custom headline that join our mailing list. I put in another gap, and then just a little bit of just a little caption here, and another gap. Again, I'm doing spacing just to kind of give this some white space. Let it breathe a little bit. Okay, now this next little bit here, I've put another content band or row inside of this one. The reason I did that is these buttons don't like to center themselves very well. And if there's an option to make it full width, but then it would go from side to side, and that's just ugly. So what I did was I created a 3-column layout. So this is where we put our layouts. You can see the default is it's one full width column. There's a half and a half, a 2/3 and a 2/3, thirds, quarters, and so on. We can put in a custom one if we want to. I just put in a third, and then I just put a gap on either side so that it would just take up the space. And then I put the button in this one. So if I click on the button, I can go in and edit it. This is the text inside the button. Again, I centered it. And there's different options. I have different styles of button. Different sizes are available. So I could like bump that up to extra large. Float would be if you had multiple buttons that you wanted to have next to each other, but in this case we don't. Block, we're making it go full width. It'll automatically center because it'll take up the full width, but it's again that's only 1/3 of the total width because I put in that 1/3 column thing. Here we can put in the address we want it to go to. So if we had a MailChimp account or something like that and we wanted to link to it, that's where we put in the URL, the address. Again, we can have it so that it opens a new window instead of moving off of our site. So I can take a look at the changes. I just made that button a little bigger. So we may take a look at it and say, okay, yeah, that still looks good. Okay, next I'm going to another content band, which is this one here. Now I may say, oh, I like I'm going to make it slightly gray. So I can go in here, this is the top level editing. And I may say I want a background color. And I want to make it just a little bit darker. And I can save the changes. Then when I come back, this is instead of being white, it's going to be just a little darker. I could make that black and I could make the text white. It doesn't really matter. So you can see I put inside this band, I put in the headline, which is my title, and then I put another row inside here and made it a 2-column, and in each column I put in a headline and some text. Nothing different than what we've already done here. Then I decided I was going to put in a YouTube video here, so I created a new column, or a new row, and then here I'll show you how to do this YouTube embed. I'll throw this in the trash. So I created a new content band, and then I went in here and I said I want a video, and I'm going to do an embedded video. Now in the embedded video, the way that you do it is you go here from visual to text. This is actually going into the HTML code editor. But before you freak out, you're not actually going to have to edit any code. You're just going to copy and paste. So here I am at YouTube. I've got my video. If you click on the share button, and then you get these embed or email, you get this code here. This little code snippet, I'm going to copy that. You can hit edit, copy, or you can use your keyboard shortcuts. I'm going to go back to this page here, and I go, again, make sure you're in text, not visual. That's where you would write code if you wanted to. And you're just going to copy and paste that in there. And you can say, change your aspect ratio. We're going to keep that the same. We're going to say we don't want a container. It's just a box that's going to go around it. And I'm going to save the changes. So now I have my video. So I can keep adding as much content as I want here. I could go here and select content band again. Oh, in this one here, one of the things I forgot to do when I check this, right, I want to put inner container. Otherwise this video is literally going to go from side to side on the screen, and I want there to be a bit of a margin on the sides. Okay, so and then I may add, these are all different things that we can add in. I could add in a map. So here it says, okay, this again is very similar to the video where we would get a code from Google. You know what? For the purposes of this, I'm not going to do that right now. I'm just going to throw that away. And let's see, something else that we could put in here. I could put in audio files, I could put in social sharing, I could put in an about the author section. And let's see what that looks like. So again, I've got my content, and there's my about the author. Oh, look at that. For some reason, the YouTube videos don't sometimes show up in preview mode, but it's there. Again, I got that going right to the edge. I want to put the inner container on there. Save changes. Update. So if I update that and I tell it I want to view the page, it may take a little bit. Here we go. We have our clickable image, we have our article here, we've got our newsletter sign up, a couple other things here, our YouTube video, and then a little biographical information on the author. I do not have a picture assigned to this account, nor do I have a bio, but if I did, it would be written right here. All right, so that's a quick tutorial on how to build a page using the Visual Composer in WordPress.